Derbyshire top four set the tone as home side dominate Middlesex. 35 points separate 3rd to 10th in the second division going into round 10, with Derbyshire very much in the mix for one of the 3 promotion spots, just 21 shy of 3rd place Sussex at the start of play. It was the visitors who chose to bowl, and that put Godalming and Rees out in the middle, where they made a patient start, the first boundary coming in the 4th over as Rees struck Roland Jones to the rope. Next over, Godalming hit Helm for a couple of 4s, and from that moment onwards, the Derbyshire pair looked very comfortable indeed. Godalming was in a real hurry, striking Roland Jones for 10 in the 10th over, including a 6. They coasted past 50. And in the 15th over, Godalming brought up his half-century, the mark coming up off just 35 balls. Just past the 20 over mark, Derbyshire moved to 100, and moments later Rees moved to his 50. A dominant morning session for the hosts concluded with both openers still at the crease, the score 116. Play resumed after lunch with both openers well set and no sign of a breakthrough. Both Godalming and Rees ticked the scoreboard over with a succession of boundaries. Godalming hitting the accelerator slightly more aggressively than his opening partner as he closed in on a century. They moved to 150 without loss, and then a 4 off Roland Jones, followed by 1 off Sota in the following over, allowed Godalming to move to 3 figures for the second time this season. On the previous occasion Godalming went past 100, he went on to score 227. It wasn't to be a repeat on this occasion. He was out in the next Sota over, caught behind for 102, Middlesex finally making the breakthrough with Derbyshire on 167. Hudson Prentice was the new man in, and he and Rees continued where the opening pair had left off. They reeled off a quick-fire 50 partnership. But with Rees closing in on a century of his own, he was caught by Roland Jones off Scott for 96. Hudson Prentice took on the responsibility of being the established batsman, and he moved to his 50 off 64 balls. The score at tea, Derbyshire 259 for 2. It would be a partnership that would take Derbyshire past 300, Hudson Prentice moving into the 70s. There would be no 100 for the number 3 though, an excellent innings ended by Helm out for 99, caught at mid-wicket by Steve Finn. He'd have 2 in an over, Hughes caught behind for a duck as Middlesex staged a mini fight back. But Dupuis was well set and it showed. He'd anchored the Derbyshire innings and brought up his 50 with a single in the last over of the day. They'd finish on 372 for 4, an excellent day for the home side. Hudson Prentice and Godalming guiding the side to a position of control, all of the top order firing to help set the tone. The Middlesex bowlers had toiled and found opportunities difficult to manufacture. Only Helm managed to pick up more than 1 wicket, both of his coming in that 1 over towards the end of the day. They'd have to find something extra to trouble the Derbyshire batsmen if they were to find a way back into the match on day 2. Dupuis' century puts Derbyshire well on top against Middlesex. The opening day at Derby well and truly belonged to the batsmen, with a century from Godalming, 99 from Hudson Prentice and 96 from Rees helping the home team reach the close on 372 for 4. Dupuis still at the crease unbeaten on 50. His partnership with Dahl had started to build nicely at the end of the opening day, and they picked up where they'd left off, Dupuis finding the boundary in the 3rd over of the day. Back-to-back 4s followed off Roland Jones. The home side were running out of time to secure maximum batting points though, but they managed in the 109th over, and 1 ball after getting to 400, Dupuis launched Sota for 6. The 24-year-old South African then pushed on towards a first red ball century in Derbyshire colours. He completed it off the bowling of Sota, a second centurion in Derbyshire ranks in this one. The partnership moved to 100 and the total to 450. And Dahl moved to his 50. However, with the partnership worth 133, Middlesex managed to end it. Dupuy caught by Sota off Scott for 118. Dahl and Hussain batted through to lunch to score 488 for 5. Play resumed after the interval and it remained a batsman's paradise, the score swiftly moving up to 500 as Dahl plundered further boundaries and was closing in on a maiden century. But on 92 his innings ended, Finn with the catch off Roland Jones, and that brought about the declaration. Derbyshire scoring 557 for 6, a long way to go for a fragile Middlesex batting order to avoid the follow-on. They started well in reply, Robson and Eshkenazi opening the batting. Their patient approach looked to be producing the required dividends for the visitors, but just before tea Rees made the breakthrough as he had Eshkenazi caught by Critchley for 23. That left Robson and Gubbins at the crease. Middlesex 55 for 1 at the interval, still 502 runs shy of the Derbyshire first innings total. Into the evening session, and there was further grief for Middlesex as Robson fell, caught by Van Beek off Palladino for 34. Gubbins was joined by Malan, and the pair tried to shore up shop. They took the score past 100, and then secured a 50 partnership. But Rees returned to take his second wicket of the day, removing Gubbins' LBW for 37. Middlesex now 425 behind. The Watford Wall, Stephen Finn came to the crease to see things out to close, and at stumps Middlesex had batted to 135 for 3. Malan unbeaten on 39, with much resting on his shoulders heading into day 3 as the visitors try to prevent the follow-on. Malan closes in on double 100 as Middlesex bat through day 3 in Derby. Derbyshire started day 3 in a strong position. After posting an enormous 557 for 6 declared, the home side had reduced Middlesex to 135 for 3 by close, with a huge amount of the onus on Dawid Malan, who kicked off day 3 unbeaten on 39 alongside night watchman Steve Finn. Finn hit the opening boundary of the day from Van Beek, and another couple before falling, bowled by Van Beek for 18. Malan was joined at the crease by Holden, and with the new batsman holding down one end, Malan pressed towards his half-century. Boundaries started to flow off the Welshman's bat, and he raced past his 50 and into the 60s. Holden's first 4 came off Rampall. Godalman threw the ball to debutant Hudson Prentice, and he responded with an absolute jaffer first up to Holden, Hussain with the catch as the batsman departed for 10. Scott joined Malan and they saw play through to lunch with the score 212 for 5. Malan still there on 75, Middlesex still trailing by 345. After the break, the Middlesex pair looked to build on the 8 runs they'd managed since the departure of Holden, and both struck boundaries as they put on another partnership worth over 40. However, they were not able to make it a 50 stand, as Rampall had Scott caught by Critchley for 23, making it 250 for 6. Malan and Simpson pressed on and the Middlesex 4 moved to his 3rd century of the season. Malan was scoring the lion's share of the boundaries, but Simpson was scoring whenever the opportunity arose. The duo guided Middlesex past 300 to bring up a 3rd batting point in the 98th over. By tea, they'd fought their way to 319 for 6, still trailing by 238 runs. Into the evening session, and it was Middlesex who dominated as the Derbyshire attack started to tire. Simpson moved to his 50. And in the next over from Van Beek, Malan brought up his 150. He and Simpson successfully batted through to the close, with Malan ending the day on his highest score of the season so far, unbeaten on 177. Simpson too has a season's best of 91 not out and will hope to move to his 100 in the morning. So heading into the final day, Middlesex trailed by 121 runs with 4 wickets still in hand. The game seems to be heading to a draw. Dupuy, Godalming and Malan rack up the runs in high-scoring draw in Derby. Derbyshire's massive first innings total had been put in perspective by Middlesex reply. Dawid Malan and John Simpson putting on a fantastic partnership for the 7th wicket, 186 and counting, with Malan resuming on 177, Simpson on 91. The first milestone of the day was for Malan. He moved to 183, beating his previous best knock of 182 not out. Moments later, Simpson went past his 100. Critchley was introduced into the attack and he made an immediate impact. Dismissing Malan, caught and bowled. 199 in the end for the Welshman, a new first-class best for him. Dupuy then came into the attack and grabbed the wicket of Simpson, bowled for 115. And in his next over, Dupuy took another, trapping Helm LBW for 1. Sota and Roland Jones took the total past 500, but Palladino bowled Sota to wrap things up. Middlesex all out for 520 and Derbyshire with a first innings lead of 37. The Derbyshire openers, Godalming and Rees, then saw play through to lunch for 10 without loss. In the afternoon, and Derbyshire started assuredly before Godalming fell, Helm, the bowler, making the breakthrough as Godalming was out for 18. In the next over, Hudson Prentice, who just missed out on a century in the first innings, departed without troubling the scorers, run out by Malan for a duck. And 4 overs later, Sota took his first of the second innings, trapped Rees LBW for 14. 39 for 3 became 39 for 4, as in his next over, Sota removed Hughes for a duck, caught by Simpson. Dupuy and Hussain were tasked with preventing the continuation of this worrying collapse, and they took the lead past 100. The partnership continued through to tea. The score at the interval, 126 for 4, Hussain not out on 45, Dupuy on 40, the lead 163. After the break, Derbyshire continued to bat resolutely on, and Dupuy became the first of the duo to move to 50. Hussain joined him moments later, and they also brought up the 100 partnership. However, Sota removed Hussain for 61, the batsman trapped in front. And with Critchley falling in the next over to Malan for 1, the game looked to be petering out to a draw. With 20 overs left to play, the two skippers shook hands in the middle. 12 points for Derbyshire, 9 for Middlesex, and the home team stay well in the mix for the battle for third.
Oh.